Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Adobe Live. I'm here hosting the talented Kieron Lewis. Hi, Kieron, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
So finally, I'm streaming with someone in the UK. So I'm based in Manchester, UK. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an Italian designer and I'm based in Manchester, UK. But Kieron, where are you based?
I am based in South London.
So finally, we have two UK in the evening, because I know that there are many UK streams in the morning. But yeah, Kieron, we made a UK coming in the evening as well. Of course, evening if you are on this side of the world. Otherwise, I believe it's afternoon in the Pacific time. So I want to remind everybody that in order to share your comment, I usually say hi to the chat, and I love to welcome everybody that is in sharing here with us this time and asking questions to Kieron, to head to YouTube. If you're watching the video from behance.net/Adobe Live, all you have to do is to hover on the little video and you'll be able to click on the YouTube icon. And once you get there, we'll be able to see your comment. And I'm going to start to say hi to everybody once you're going to jump into YouTube so we can pass your question to Kieron. But before we get started, I wanted to share real quick Kieron's work and his website. Kieron is a freelance designer. It's done amazing project. I just cannot wait for you to start telling us more about your work. If you want to go and check it out by yourself, his website is kieronlewis.com. You will be able to see all his different portfolio design. But Kieron, tell us more about you, what we're going to be doing. Of course, this is an editorial. I know we're going to start today with InDesign, but I'm just going to pass it on to you so you can let us dive in today's stream.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Kieron Lewis. I'm a freelance designer. A lot of the work I do is editorial based, but I've got skills in branding as well, and also digital design, but from a UI perspective. And yeah, print's my thing. I mean, I love editorial, I love design work. A lot of the clients I work with sort of touch on that. So recently I've done some stuff with Penguin, HarperCollins as well. So all editorial led. My name's Kieron Lewis. I'm a freelancer.
Sorry, that was my audio. I swapped it to YouTube and we could have
two Kierons
twice. Sorry. And I want to say hi to everyone join on YouTube. I can see the amazing Vuduval helping us out here. And Emmanuel and Sharon, Neil, Kitties, everyone, please join us on YouTube so I'll be able to see your names and of course pass your question to Kieron. And Kieron, I heard Penguin. Is that?
I say that casually. It's not a casual thing. I mean, it's been quite a nice project to work on, and we're doing a few more stuff actually in the coming weeks ahead. So it's been cool, and a bit of creative freedom as well, which is what every designer loves, right? Creative freedom, which is what this project's about.
Absolutely. Have you been doing cover with them or spread? Tell us a little bit more. Super curious.
Yeah, so it's mainly been cover work, so cover artwork for a sports celebrity. I can't say names just yet, but it will be out very, very soon. March, actually, I'm right in saying. But yeah, it's all been cover work. HarperCollins, the project I'm doing, that's a 300-page book. So that's a big boy book in terms of cover right into interior as well. But this project we're going to do today is a bit more simplified, but just as fun. So yeah, should be cool.
Fantastic. And I have here also your Instagram. So make sure to go and give it a follow to Kieron Anthony L. That's your Instagram here. And then I'm sure that from your Behance page, everyone can access all the rest of your social media. So you have your LinkedIn and your Pinterest board in there. So today we're going to be building, I know a little bit about your project, an editorial booklet, if I'm correct.
It is, yeah. So it's part of a project alongside a small studio, which is an architectural firm. A lot of the work they do is residential practice, but they also work in landscape and urban design too. And the content we're working on today is going to be all bat focused, which might seem like a weird project, but it's quite an interesting one. Obviously, with everything going on in the world, bats are probably neglected and not as seen as important creatures, but they are. So a lot of the content you're going to see that we're designing with, it's basically how people in the area, in particular West Norwood, can do little things around their homes, in their gardens that make it easier for bats to thrive.
That's amazing. So we're going to be start in InDesign. Is that correct?
Indeed we are. I can show you some of the assets we're going to work with as well, actually, which is quite cool.
Please do.
Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, in terms of the assets we've got to work with, it's quite a fun brief. We've got some really cool, interesting images to show. So I'll show you what we're working with today, the images. Hope everyone is, they like bats and they're not too scary. But I've got some obviously diverse shots, some in trees, some in, doing bits and bobs in the skies. So yeah, what I want to firstly get into is actually InDesign, actually get the booklet, the foundation set, which is how I would do with any editorial project. So let's go into it.
Fantastic. And let us know in the chat if you are a fan of InDesign, if you're a fan of bats. I had a friend, Kieron, who collected bats' little figurine and little, peluche toys, I guess it's fluffy little things. And they can be very cute. And actually, I don't know if you've been encountering that in your research, but there is an image of a white bat that is, I think, around Instagram, and of course it's fake. It's someone knitted it. It's like made out of cotton or wool. And I was a very silly person believing that was like a real thing. So I was like, oh, that's so cute. But it's not real.
It's funny because like with white bats, I just think of the film Ace Ventura, if anyone's seen that, but it's my knowledge of bats, I'll be honest, until this project, I've definitely educated myself in terms of, bats and what they can do for the ecosystem. That's for sure. Right, so can you see my screen first of all?
Yes. Okay. Super excited to get started.
Brilliant. So this project, first of all, the booklet's going to be A5. So that's always quite a nice one because you haven't got a lot of space to work with. But what you can do is obviously quite impactful, the work we do. So I always like to do, and this is quite a bit messy, but it's just, I guess, the way I work. I always do one InDesign for spread and one for cover. So I have two lots. So the first one you've seen before is the inside, and then this one will be the cover. So we'll just have, so we'll go for 10 for this one. So again, we've got that all sorted. Facing pages, all good. Cool.
So you're opening two documents at the same time and you just work on two different areas.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a bit of a method to the madness. It's you'll find throughout this as well. I sort of jump in between InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, but I promise there is a method to the madness of it, of how it works.
Don't worry, be yourself. I mean, that's the beauty of Adobe Live and the amazing different guests that are in here. I've seen, and I still follow so many different people. The beauty is that everyone share their workflow. So just, be yourself, and that's what we're here to see.
You can ride the wave of the creative flow and just see where we end up, pretty much.
Yeah.
So first bit's obviously getting to my masters just to make sure we've got everything how it should be. So I will go to text.
And I can see in the chat that there is a lot of love for InDesign. Kitty says, I love InDesign. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I'm slightly blind. I'm not used to that.
Zoom in a bit more.
Yeah.
There we go.
Let's zoom that in so we can see all the lovely comments and if there is any question here. As I mentioned before, if you're watching from Behance, make sure to head on YouTube. You'll just be able to click on the video, and where it says YouTube, the video will open up on the YouTube feed, and there you can ask your questions, which I will pass to Kieron while it works, or just show your love for Adobe Live and for the work that is being done here. So thank you so much for everyone who's been jumping on YouTube so far.
And more importantly, I should probably show you straight away what I'm working in terms of the brand, because actually that's quite important, the brand guideline, which is before I show you that. So with the brand guideline we've got to work with, we've got our fonts already pre-installed, which is Scandia, which is quite a nice clean font, as you can see here. So that's what we're working with throughout this document. So I'll make sure we're full screen.
And I can see something there, which is you're working with a Wacom. Is that correct?
I do, yeah. It's a weird one because I remember in my first job as a junior designer seeing two designers using it, and I thought that looks awesome, but I never knew how to do it. And then I just kind of bought myself one and just started to just play around with it. And now I can't not use a Wacom tablet. I have to use one when I'm designing. Otherwise, it just feels like sort of like a second pair of hands.
Kieron, we have a comment from Donald saying that he worked with you in 2019 on TED at Houston.
Yeah, TEDx Houston, Donald. Hi, man. So over the years, I've done a lot of self-directed projects. Excuse me. And TEDx Houston was a really cool project, which is actually quite close to my heart. And it was a project which basically put a spotlight on African continent. So we would fly out speakers who were doing amazing things, whether it's poets or musicians, designers. And they would basically just give talks at the events, and it was a cool thing to do. Really, really cool thing to do.
How did you get into working with Ted?
Funny enough, I actually saw an announcement on Twitter, and I thought at the time I was freelancing, and I thought it'd be quite cool to work on something like this. So yeah, had an interview with the guys, and the vibe was there, and it just went really, really well. So really, really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. So tell us what's happening here with this.
Yeah, so it took me a while to figure that out. So right now we're just making sure we've got our page numbers in. So there we go. Okay, method to the madness. So we've got our basically the foundations of how we're working with the slugs at the bottom. But what I like to do is with a document like this is make sure my grids and everything is all set up. So A5, I tend to work within a 2-column grid. So I'll make sure that is all good. You can find that. There we go, margin the columns. Okay. So 2 columns usually is what I work for. I'll make sure it's in masters first of all.
I can see that you have like a green highlight color.
Yeah, I just I live my life by colors, so like I have to kind of color code everything that I do. It's a weird sort of method to the madness, but yeah, it just makes it a bit easier for how I tend to work.
It's super cool to personalize.
Exactly. So what I'll do is I will go into my folders and get the copy doc. And what I'll do is before I really start getting into the nitty gritty of the spread design, I'll just get my content to paper so I know what content works on what page. And then we'll have a bit of fun in terms of actually experimenting with the cover design itself. So that's my title. I'll make sure that's just plopped out on the side. And what's quite cool about this project is that I've got a lot of creative freedom from the client. So literally, it's rare because you do get clients that obviously they're sort of stuck in their ways. But a small studio are great guys, and yeah, I've got a lot of opportunity to have a lot of fun with this one. So I mean, I'll just crudely put things on the page just so we get a feel for where things would sit. So that's introduction. I've got why bats are important. And again, I'll style this up and make sure it's a bit more neater as we go into it. But it's just so I got everything in a place where it looks where it works. There's a lot of crazy things happening here, but that will be cleaned up as we go into the project.
Don't worry, take your time. That's the beauty of the stream is that we got to see the unpolished side, and it's very easy to have a beautiful portfolio where everything is nice and done, but the reality is that things start messy, and that's why I say Adobe Live is always a safe space, so everyone knows that it's okay to start it whatever way you like. And there is a very funny comment in the chat from JTAM 1289 say that I thought I read it wrong. I thought it was a design term and is referring to the word bat. And I didn't know that you're actually doing a bat.
No. Actually making a bat, but it's not Dark Knight or anything Batman related. It's literally a bat, the animal bat booklet. That's quite funny, actually. Yeah.
Would it be cool if it that sort of way, like of stitching or, finishing?
Cool. I feel like we, as designers, we can just make up our own names and it can just sound cool. And it can, as long as it can work within some sort of functionality, then we can make it work.
Absolutely. I do that all the time.
Awesome. So, cool. So all my content's to paper, or to online paper, that is. So I want to go into Photoshop and actually start dragging in imagery and start working with some covers and see how we can work with that.
Before we move forward, we have a very good question from Niels Pedersen. Kieron, any good tips to make more correct color palettes when it comes to CMYK, print, Pantone versus RGB?
That's a good point. I think depends on, with the content and with the imagery that I work with, I always like to pick out key colors from imagery and to try to make a palette based on that. Obviously CMYK, RGB, obviously difference in digital and web. In digital and print, I should say. But I do tend to kind of pick out like a color palette based on the imagery I'm working with. In this particular project, I'll show you here with the colors that we've got to work with. It's quite very, very nice, sharp colors. So you can see here, it's probably going to like blind you from the colors, but the electric blue, high vis, putty, these colors. So this is what I'm working with the brand guidelines today for this booklet. So that's quite a nice one to work with. Super
cool. So the client provided that.
They did indeed, yeah. They did indeed. So what's quite nice is that Norwood Works, a bit of context. So they've given this PDF which allows all of the basically businesses within the area of West Norwood to, whenever they're creating a piece of work or project, they're able to use this PDF as almost like a foundation for when they do the design work. So every business that is in the area of West Norwood has more of a coherent look in terms of their project. So you don't have things looking completely different, but they're all sort of singing from the same sheet, if that makes sense. So yeah,
absolutely. I'm a big fan of this sort of organizing the visual identity, and I call it like brand foundation. So.
Plus it helps when the colors are awesome as well. Like I think it's just like they're nice colors to actually work with. Have a bit of fun with this one. So I'll make sure I'm in print mode. Obviously it's A5, but because it's how I'm working obviously now is I'm working with a spread for the cover. So I'm going to obviously double my width so that it's basically two A5 side by side. So which is, if my maths is correct, I'll put in 296. Don't quote me on that, but I'm sure it's correct.
And by the way, just while you do your calculation, I wanted to just share with everybody that is watching, because it's amazing when you get such a visual identity toolkit. And it's, although very normal when you're starting, if you're a beginner. And by the way, let us know in the chat if you're a beginner, if you're a middleweight, if you're a senior designer, if you have experience or not. Always nice to see what sort of experience people have in chat. It's okay if your client don't give you these sort of guidelines, but it's your job as a designer to either build it for them or at least, instruct them and explain that that's very important, as Kieron was saying.
What I'm doing here is it might seem like I'm doing this just because of the stream, but I generally live my life by layers and color code. It's something I learned in my first editorial job at Z Creative, where if you just basically start very, very basic and make sure everything's clean, down the line, it will make your life a hell lot easier. So I have to put my things in groups. Yeah, it's a weird method to the madness, but so yeah, you can probably see here my color palette is obviously the colors which I showed you in the brand guideline, that project, and then I'm going to work with, I think for this one, this kind of creamy background for the background, and I'm going to take in some type, but I want to do it via Illustrator. So I'm jumping between programs, but they all kind of be coherent with how they all work. But I like to work, especially when I'm doing graphics for titles, I'll do it via Illustrator and then I'll import it in that way. So then, yeah, it just makes it easier. But then obviously I finish everything up on InDesign, which is my holy grail. InDesign, I love InDesign.
We got a question for InDesign, and feel free to answer now or keep going with your workflow. But the question from Lefa Bia, and I apologize if I misspell your name or missay your name. The question is, not a big user of InDesign, but how important are paragraphs and character styles to your work, or just your flow? Or you just flow? Or you just flow? Yeah, sorry.
Or I just flow. It depends. I mean, when I'm working with big editorial projects, like for example, with the client I'm working with for HarperCollins, that's a 300-page book. So you kind of, there's only so much flow you can do until you think there needs to be a bit of structure. So when it's more like a title page or a cover design, for example, I find that I can be quite creative, quite flowing with that element of it. But when it's actually working within paragraphs and stuff inside interior, I need to have more of a strict guide of how I work with that. Just because eventually it just makes your life a lot easier in terms of how everything's kind of sitting. If that answers your question, I hope.
Yeah, and also speed up the workflow. I'm sure that when you're doing that 300 pages, you really rely.
But you know what? It actually goes quite quick. Once you start working in the method, I live my life by Spotify, and I just obviously now I've done live streams, so it's a bit different, but I'll just be locked in the zone, and then I'll just sort of churn out, a few spreads within however long it takes. So yeah, it's quite cool.
And paragraph style make it a little bit faster, don't they?
Definitely, yeah. It's just so you can just drag and drop, and just that way you've got a bit more coherent look to everything you're working with.
By the way, Viruval is talking about a huge bat with a 5 feet, which I'm not sure how many kilometers or meters that relates to, but apparently it's huge. It's a huge bat with these amazing big spread of wings, but at the same time they're so big. I think they're called fox bat or something like that. And let's say flying fox with a 5-foot wingspan, but they're actually huge but very sweet.
Do you know what? I feel like bats, I'll be honest with you, before this project, I had my own thoughts about bats because I never, simply because of Batman, if I'm honest. Like I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to that stuff. But until I actually started to read about what bats do for the environment and, you know, how they help with pollination and all those elements, I thought actually, okay, they're actually cool creatures. If anyone's out there who loves bats.
Well, thankfully you're not about Spider-Man, because otherwise you could collect.
Spider-Man is cool too.
At least you don't have a bat in the... Do we have bats in the UK? Do you know?
Well, actually, there's only because I know this because of the content. I'm not going to pretend like I learned this, you know, off piece. But there's actually 6. I think there's 18 types of species of bats in the UK, and there's 6 in particular in the area of West Norwood. Again, because of the content, that's why I read about it. I knew. I never just read that just from nowhere.
In your evening at home, you were like, "Are there bats?"
Yeah, my partner and I just go around with a little binoculars trying to find our bats and just see what we're going to work with.
Great. So what's happening with this amazing type lock here?
Yeah, what I've done it because I feel obviously the text is quite thick, and obviously it allows you to. I want to play around with some imagery inside the text itself. Because it's quite a chunky font, I thought it'd be quite nice. Obviously, this is the branded font for a small studio, but I thought it could be quite nice to bring this into Photoshop and then seeing if we can get some images that sort of sit inside that as a clipping mask. Let's see how that works. So I'm gonna have a little pop of that. And actually, I've decided to put the K here just because I feel like it's hanging off as if it was like a bat. That's my kind of
oh, that's super cool.
But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out, it's a bit cheeky. I always like to, with cover designs, I do tend to obviously what the client wants, and obviously, you know, more of a safe route, but I always like to put an outlandish route there, which is why I'm sort of taking out the elements inside the letters, just because when you put the image inside it, you can see a bit clearly the bat image poking through.
Totally. And you know, would it be nice, and I'm gonna be very cheeky here, so feel free to ignore me, but like to have the K upside down, because don't they like sleep upside down?
That would be cool. Yes.
I don't want to like, you know,
let's do this. We're on a creative journey. I'm good for it. Like let's have a look how that actually pans out. I don't know where this is gonna go. It might even. Are you thinking like, hang on, that's a different letter now.
keep going, don't worry.
So,
I was just thinking, like, you know, how do they hang?
I'll have that there for later. You never know, it might actually come back to me as like, right,
absolutely,
my upside down K. That's what I've been missing. Right, so obviously I've got the rule in the middle just so I know where the spine sits for the booklet for this, but I'm going to make sure I'm in my type layer. I mean, I'm just sort of crudely putting it in there just to sort of get a feel for where it sits. Looks crazy.
Kitty wants to know what computer you're using, Kieron.
Yeah, I'm using a MacBook desktop. The actual name of it, the year, I couldn't tell you, but I recently got this. Yeah, just from the Apple site, and it's yeah, I mean, for every designer, including myself, like using a Mac, it's just, you know, it's our mecca. We have to use, you don't have to obviously use it, but for me, it's a lot easier, and just functionality wise, it just makes it a lot easier to work with. Everything's quite, you know, intuitive, so it's cool. I'm biased because everything I've got is Apple anyway. So
yeah, let us know in the chat if you're a PC user or a Mac user. Always try to do this little poll. I'm transitioning right now, so I have a MacBook, but I have a very big PC, just because I'm doing a lot of video editing. So just for I require to use Premiere and After Effects. But I mean, I oh, look at those cute bats.
It's the eyes, just for the eye.
They're cute. They're like bears with wings.
They're so misunderstood. I say this now is because I've been like working for bats for years, but it's just because of this booklet I've just had a found love for them. Yeah.
You see me calling them cute, and then I'll be the first one running away like a little chicken.
We need to create like a little bat gang and see how that pans out. Right, I've realised this is live, and me saying things like that is probably not a good thing. But yeah. No, I think that works quite well. I'm gonna again play around with that a bit more. I can darken in there. But where I've got obviously the full title being landscaping for bats, I'm gonna actually type that in on InDesign in opposed to it being a graphic, because it's, for me, I just feel like it doesn't need to be a graphic. The main thing is this sort of lockup. So I think I'm liking this. A little play around a bit more, but yeah, I think that gets the message across. I'm gonna sort of crudely also, I had a bit of and I guess I'll get a bit more, in detail as I go along, but I like to darken it as well using gradients. I'm a sucker for the gradient tool, if I'm really honest. So I'm going to just add a bit of dark, maybe from here, pulls through.
So it looks like you're right in terms of Mac lover. We have, first of all, I wanted to say that we have a lot of designer beginners watching. So people that are new with graphic design and they're loving what you're showing, but also we have a lot of Mac. We just have Natasha, me, and Vuduval with the PC so far.
It's cool. We need to give some PC love. It's all good. Like I'll be honest, I haven't used a PC since school, so I don't even know what updates but I'm sure like there's obviously stuff that you can do on a PC that you can do just as well on a Mac. So it's it's all good.
Pro and cons, as in everything.
Exactly. So I mean, I've just been a bit cheeky, but I've just grouped them all up and said that's option 1. Welcome to life for design. But I'm going to do is I want to do a few, and then what I'll do is before I bring them into InDesign, I just want to do a few options and just design them on Photoshop. Just because Photoshop's a fun tool to work with.
I agree. We have a few more questions, so sorry if I keep interrupting you, but everyone is very intrigued by this
project.
I think that's really different, really cool. So we have a question more regarding the setup again. Mana is asking, do you work with 2 screens, and what's your setup?
I do. So I tend to have, in an everyday scenario with my freelance, I have a laptop for emails, and then I'll have my main desktop where all the sort of magic happens. But yeah, I don't sort of share screen, like a split screen. I used to do that a lot in my full time, just because it made it easier everything I'm working with. But now I kind of learned to just work on one main screen, and then my laptop is for boring stuff, i.e. the emails and the invoices and all that stuff. But yeah.
So Vuduval is asking, Kieron, where are you drawing inspiration for this project?
So funny enough, actually, I don't know if you can see can you see on my screen? Can you see my actual, of course you can. Yeah, I've got I've got a Moleskine, I've got various Moleskine books, but I always draw little scamps. So what I've done is that prior to the call, I've done a few scamps and drawings, and then I'm going to try and take some influence from that. But if I'm honest, as I go along, it sounds weird, but I'm trying to have a more of a method to the madness because I'm live stream, but I do find when I'm designing, I will just jump between different spreads, and then at the end, I'll tie them all in together, and then I'll find that, okay, cool. Out of a possible 20 spreads, I need to just now select 5, and then basically make that my final thing. If that makes sense. Yeah, that's how I tend to.
I'm just checking if there is any other question. There is. Yes, we're still on the Mac and Windows. I think Windows is catching up a little bit. We have a few which are PC and Mac at the same time. Also, we have Ile Orbic. Hi from Italy. Ciao. I love to say hi. Oh, many Italians. Julian from Italy too. Let us know where you're from. I'm from Lecce. I'm actually Italian. It's so cool to see many other Italians at this time. Sorry, Kieron. I got a little.
No, it's all good. It's all
roots carried away.
It's all good. European vibes. I love it.
And for those of you who are watching on Behance, we don't have the chat there today, but don't worry, we'll still be able to see your comments and pass your question to Kieron if you just join us on YouTube. And to do so, just simply click on the little screen where you're watching us from, and you'll see the YouTube icon there. So just click in there, and the YouTube will open up on your browser, and you will be able to join the chat and ask as many questions, say hi, and we'll be here to say hi to you as well.
It's actually quite interesting, because obviously when I design, I will just have my headphones in, Spotify, and just lock in. But it's actually quite cool having to, I'm trying to tell myself this is actually live to the world, if I'm honest, just because it's a bit daunting. But the idea of actually being able to talk it through, your process is quite fun to do, because can be a lonely road, I guess, to design like freelance. But yeah, it's fun to show some people what, you know, into your world.
It's like sharing notes with friends.
Exactly.
And I think it really breaks that, you know, little wall between professional designers, successful designers like yourself, and, you know, open up your workflow to everybody. So like, yeah, you know, I can do that. I think it just is very inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I mean, I've even from school days, you know, I've always loved doing you know, design, art, live drawing, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've always thought it's quite a cool thing to do. So
Oh, really loving this.
Do you know what? I love the color palette I've got to work with. It's so cool because you actually have the orange and the blue being quite dominant. This kind of cream, it just subtles it a bit. So I just felt like it needed to be with the font. But I want to try and play with, oh, what was it with that TPY? I want to try and play with like an outline potentially. Now, see how that pans out. But we need to have a bit of method. I want to make sure everything is all.
So Camila Santos is asking, I'm currently taking a master in editorial design and loving it. Do you have any online courses to recommend?
Oh, LinkedIn's actually really good. There's actually a few.
Yes, there is one.
I just plugged it. Yeah. That's what I meant earlier, kind of. Yeah, no, LinkedIn is good. And Linda's also. I mean, Linda, I think, obviously part of LinkedIn, but yeah, Linda and
they're the same. Yeah, they're
the same thing.
Yes.
They've joined forces. Yeah.
They joined forces, and I was like whispering because I just released I'm a LinkedIn author, and I released a course on InDesign. So if you just type Clady in LinkedIn Learning, you'll love it. So I was like, you know, yeah, there is one.
No, LinkedIn is awesome. I actually did a LinkedIn course for Premiere Pro actually, because I want to get into a bit more video content, because that's quite a cool thing to work on.
Oh, fantastic. So you're a fellow LinkedIn author as well?
I am. I mean, don't get me wrong, I won't want to do a live on video Premiere because I'll just make a fool of myself. But I in terms of just like playing around and learning how it works, I find it so much fun. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's quite a fun thing.
I'll definitely check it out. I'm super curious now. And also in terms of other way of learning InDesign, there are so many amazing video here on Adobe Live. So if you just head out to Behance and just scroll through the what's new or the editorial graphic design little show reel, you'll be able to find so many amazing streams with other talented designers that have been sharing their workflow in InDesign. So definitely go ahead and check that out, because Adobe Live is always a great place to learn.
No, Adobe is quite, because obviously through university as well, where I used to study at Winchester, we used obviously Creative Cloud, and we used a lot of Adobe programs. So there's a lot of cool things to jump on for the Adobe. I call it the Adobe Hemisphere, because there's loads of things to have fun with and play around with. Yeah, it's good enough. Actually, also one thing as well to note, obviously this is the back page, but I want to add we've got a call to action just for those obviously in the area of West Norwood to follow up on, which has been supplied for the client. So I've actually got the call to action in black and in white, but obviously it makes sense to put it in white because we're working an orange background. And I will plot this at the bottom.
Fantastic. Jatam is saying, watch LinkedIn Learning courses, watches Tony's, and now it's going to have to check Clady's. Yes, maybe when we have towards the end of the stream, I'll be more than happy to share the courses that I've created for LinkedIn Learning, and we can share yours as well. Kieron, super happy to share. Yeah.
I mean, Premiere is actually, that's quite a cool, especially obviously now everything going online, you know, it's something quite cool to just give me to play around in video. Okay, so I want to get the call to action in here as well, just to keep consistency. I'll duplicate that call to action so I know exactly where it is.
Turn Heads is saying, is it bad that I'm a senior designer and I never know you could drag and drop color onto the text like in Photoshop? You never stop learning. No, that's why I say Adobe Live is a safe space to learn for everybody. I learn every time that I'm here.
Do you know what? I like to think there's no such thing as a stupid question, because especially if you don't know the answer anyway. Yeah, the design is subjective, but there shouldn't feel any prejudice or any kind of like, oh, is that a silly thing to ask? It's just, we're here to learn, and that's kind of my ethos behind everything anyway.
Completely agree. What are the benefits of making the type in Illustrator, Kieron? Question from Cam CMYK.
I guess with graphic like this, for example, I just feel like I have a bit more freedom with it. So, I mean, if I could have typed this up, obviously, in Photoshop, but then the fact that if I go back to InDesign here, you can see I've actually outlined my text. So here, obviously, you can type in and whatnot, but I can do it on obviously Illustrator, and I can actually bring, when I finish my type, I actually outline it and bring that in onto Photoshop. So it allows me to have a bit more freedom. Plus, I'm actually able to make that into a, you see I've got obviously my back image sort of poking through a clipping mask. I'm able to actually do that via bringing that typing from Illustrator. Maybe there's a way we could do it on Photoshop, but I've actually never, for me, it's always kind of worked better this way. But there's obviously different ways and different tricks or things to learn. Totally.
Clipping mask work the same with everything in Photoshop, but I think the greatest reason why it's amazing that Kieron is using Illustrator is the fact that the text is scalable. So it will be able to resize it at any point and then reuse it maybe for stickers or maybe for like a tote bag or anything. Because if you work with Illustrator, you actually work with a vector point. So you'll be able to scale it as small as a little logo on a phone and as big as an entire wall, where Photoshop usually stretches pixels. So I think that's another amazing plus of following Kieron workflow.
I've always loved it. If I'm honest, like Illustrators, like I just feel like it's, if anyone remembers Paint back in the day, I don't know if Paint's even still a thing, but like it just feels like so much fun just literally. With InDesign, I kind of learned InDesign quite late. Well, I'll say too late in life, but in university, I probably worked on InDesign and Photoshop a lot more in my third year. But in my first year, going from college, I definitely played around a lot with Illustrator. Illustrator was quite fun to work with, for sure.
When you say Paint, I was like, oh my gosh, there's just so many memories. I spent so many evenings, and I was in my auntie house. I was probably, I don't know how old it was, like 10, and I was just sitting there, and I used to do, I don't know about you, but I used to do the same thing over and over again. I will draw like black lines around the canvas, and then I would just create colors blocks inside the little negative space that will be within the lines, if it makes any sense.
Yeah.
Did you have like something that you will do over and over again?
Do you know, I used to draw Simpson characters. I want to go off piece here. Like I'm still obsessed with the Simpsons. I used to draw like Bart Simpson and like the whole family on Paint all the time. Yeah, I'm definitely geeking out now, but I used to do that a lot. And yeah, it's funny, I have a bit of a running joke with someone I used to work about working on Paint, and it's just like, yeah, I guess every designer is kind of basically like a glorified Paint, right? And she knows who she is, and she's on the call, but she's on the live stream. I'm not going to single her out, but yeah, it's funny.
We evolved into InDesign right now.
Exactly. But what I like about this shot as well, the reason why I'm using this shot a lot is because I obviously I've got a lot of images to work with throughout the spreads, but I kind of want to just use ideally one in different ways, because with the content that I've got throughout, the whole InDesign, obviously all of it here, I want to be a bit more playful with the imagery on these ones. So if I kind of stick to one in different ways, it just kind of makes it a bit more easier. But this image, I think it's cool because again, you've got a lot of dead space here. So I'm going to try a version now actually where maybe the logo sits. The title sits just underneath. Again, I'll just pull through. It might even actually undo if that works. That's crazy.
And we got Biola. Hi, Biola. Nice to see you. And Biola saying that her 12-year-old nephew draws Simpson characters constantly.
Yes, I love that. Brilliant. Simpsons, that never gets old. It's for me anyway. It's just again, I could geek out a lot about this, but I'm not gonna for the sake of the viewers. But I do love the Simpsons. Yeah, it's cool.
So we have another question from Josh Williams saying, I'm going to be a graphic designer for a student-run magazine this semester. Any advice or recommend channels that are good with magazine?
I guess, I mean, there's a lot of blogs out there, editorial blogs. I mean, some ones that I know quite cool, especially for editorial, there's something called Mag Culture, which is worth a Google. And they're really cool. They have a lot of, sort of most current trends and different styles out there. So that's quite cool. And again, there's a lot of creative blogs out there like Creative Boom. Obviously, it's nice that D&AD are quite cool as well with looking at student-based projects as well. A lot of the work I do, obviously, besides freelance, I also do a lot of student talks. So whenever I get into that, I do try and encourage, platforms like, going on D&AD, because a lot of the work they produce they showcases a lot of graduates' artwork. So that's quite cool as well in terms of seeing what's out there for your fellow creatives.
Inspiration. Yeah. And Behance as well. You can build actually mood boards right from Behance. So it's a great way of looking at different examples that are there. And Viola is suggesting issues, which is a good for reference. I completely agree. You have a lot of different
issues, cool.
Yeah, the different examples there that you can browse through.
No, issue is actually very cool. I've used that a few times for like just when you want to polish a magazine up, and especially obviously now everything's all online. There's a final way of actually showcasing it and sending it to a client or just for people to read it as well. It's quite a nice tool to work with. I feel like it's dark enough actually for there, so it's okay. So again, I've still got a caption, obviously the landscaping for, what's it called? Landscaping for bats, which is going to sit underneath, but I'm going to type that in on InDesign and then plot this. So that's why I left a bit of space there, and it's going to sit on the same line as the call to action on the back.
Super cool. I love the way that you got your grids there to just guide you through the space.
Yeah, I definitely went through my years of studying I guess free flowing a bit until you go to design agencies or publishing agencies where you have to live and die by the grids or the codes, and it's actually good because once you know that, it just makes everything a lot more easier to digest, and just has a bit of structure to how you work as well. So yeah, I feel like do some more on there as well.
So how many versions do we have at the moment? 3, correct?
We have version 1. Yeah, I want to try one more. I think one more.
Yeah, let's do one more.
So we've got the full bleed orange. We've got inside.
And meantime, Kieron, sorry, I'm just going to say to everybody again that is watching from Behance that we are on the chat on YouTube today. So if you want to say hi or ask questions to Kieron, make sure to add on YouTube simply by clicking on the video if you're watching from Behance, and just click on the little YouTube icon and you'll be directed immediately to the video and the chat where we have Buduval helping us out. And of course, I'll be able to read your questions and pass it over to Kieron while we work, or just simply come and say hi.
All good for a high, definitely. Actually, one thing I want to try, because I've got in my image bag, my little tote bag, but obviously got images, but I've also got some graphics, Illustrator files, courtesy of Adobe stock. Just plug that in there, and I'm gonna try and use that this graphic with inside the lockup itself, just because that way it's different as well with just all imagery, and it could be something the client might want to go with.
Oh, super cool.
Feels like a Halloween vibe, doesn't it? I don't want to it's just like yeah.
When it's one bat, it's like, okay, it's a bat. When there's a lot of bat, it's like, okay, where are the ghosts and where are the zombies?
Exactly.
So cool. Do you ever use the CC libraries much for when you work cross up like that?
I don't actually, not as much as I should do, if I'm honest. Yeah, I should definitely use it a lot more.
I'm just gonna drop an advice there, but I mean, feel free to keep going and use your workflow. But if you actually, create a library, or in any library that you have, if you drag and drop your vector, even if you just select whatever and you drop it there, and then you bring it into Photoshop, it remains linked. So you can go back and edit it in Illustrator, and boom, it gets updated right away.
Gotcha.
So But I mean, that's totally fine. You know, that's both ways completely work. That's the beauty of the apps, that you can really make it work to whatever works best for you.
That's good to know though, because I guess like there's so many different like tools and trips and tips, and everyone's got their own kind of way of working, but like that you can make it a lot more easier for you as a designer. But yeah, that's good to know for sure. I'm gonna try
loving that little bit.
I want to try that lockup on this color, because I do like this color. Actually, you know what, let's mix it up. Let's try blue. Let's see. So my eyes are gonna burn, but I think I don't know if I was doing much for anyone else, but I want to you know what, let's keep that as an option, and I want to take that out and pop in.
We have also a question from Nathan saying, hi, my name is Nathan, and Mark Rack, I believe. I'm a graphic designer from my high school, and I'm about to go to college. Do you have any advice for me going into a more professional world?
I would say it's tricky. I mean, right now, especially what's going on in the sort of current climate of the world, it's probably very difficult to kind of get your foot on the creative ladder, as it were. But one thing I would always say, even when I've had interviews with juniors or people who want to roll for design wise, is to have those side projects if you can, or collaborations. So I'd always try and really encourage, basically, if you are trying to get into the industry, obviously basically do your research, but also try and work on small projects that you're interested in, because those are the projects I feel that the ones are going to carry a lot more weight when especially when you have an interview. It just stands out from everyone else, but also more importantly, it's something that you generally want to do and that you enjoy doing it. And I mean, design is something, it's fun. Design should be fun, right? I have fun when I do this. So
totally agree. I was just there with both thumbs up, saying like, yeah, personal project, take the time, doesn't matter when, find it, but personal project really will drive your career, will make the difference. That way you can really express yourself, especially when you start. Client work is not necessarily fun, so make sure that you find your fun. And when you create your portfolio, something that I usually say to students is that make sure that you display the work that you want to be hired for. So don't necessarily, try to showcase too much. Just show what you want to be paid for doing,
Definitely. It's quite easy just to sort of throw the kitchen sink at it and just try loads of things, but like I think it's okay to sort of do that, for free time and have fun with it. But if you've got a bit of clarity in terms of where you want to go and what you want to do, it kind of resonates well, I think, with the client or the employer who's actually employing you. So I'm just exporting my options into just as JPEGs, but I've also got the Photoshop file, so I can always revert back to it if I want to make some edits, which I probably might do because I want to add my landscaping here, which is why I left a gap, but I don't know how deep I need to go on that P. So I'm going to I'll probably have to revert back to that, but I'll just save them out for now, and then I'll drag them into InDesign. I'll just save them out. So yeah, I make them, I even make a JPEG folder. It's just, if it works for you, obviously cool, but I know there's obviously different ways of, well, it's PSD file, I'll make sure it's JPEG, different ways of working, but yeah, for me, it's just easier to have it all in one place.
They're so good, all of them. Let us know if you have a favorite. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Let
us know which one is your favorite. I don't know.
That'd be awesome.
I love the blue and the reds at the moment.
I'm gonna go into this one because obviously it's on brand as well. Well, all on brand because the same fonts, but I don't know. Like I don't know. I think at this stage it's weird because if I'm honest, like I do find I can just churn out designs and I'll just be playing around with them and just eventually, you have to. I mean, the client doesn't want to hear that. Oh, I love all these options. Like they want a bit of clarity as to which one and why. But yeah, it'd be good to know what everyone else thinks. I mean, this one's, I guess, the first one is probably quite fun to work with, and it's kind of subtle as well with the full bleed color and then poking through the text. So yeah.
So Julian is asking, and I think it's great if we can sort of give a better direction to the theme of what we were saying before. Julian is asking, is it good to have only personal work in your portfolio, or you should also have some client work in it?
That's a good question. Within my own personal portfolio, I've got a mixture, but the very start is client, just because it's with the clients I've worked with, it's obviously the ones that I kind of want to be that I'm the most proud of, firstly, and that I kind of want to be known for, I guess, for designer with the work I've done. But then towards the end, I've got 2 or 3 projects. For example, TEDx Houston was a freelance sort of self-directed with the other team project. So it's for me, it was still important to have those projects in there because it still shows that you're generally interested in your craft. It's not just churning it out for churning's sake for a client. So if I had to say, it'd almost be 60-40 to client, if that makes sense, and then the 40 being your own self-directed work. Yeah.
And again, depend on the quality of the work and which kind of work you want to keep doing, I guess. Because if you're very excited, you got a really nice client and you're happy about your client's work, but if not, you don't have to be pressured to do so. And that's really true. When you can spend your time on your projects.
So true. And it's, I mean, like now, obviously we're all at home and, we have a bit more time, I guess, on our hands to do things. This is like the perfect time to work on those sort of self-directed side projects. I'd always be like pushing for anyone to kind of do that, because it's just, you never know we're gonna get much time again on our hands, so we're all busy people. So it's just like, if you can do it now, like definitely make the most of it.
So at the moment we got a couple of votes for the blue version.
Ah, okay.
Let us know. So we are 2 for the blue.
I feel like it's like the X Factor. I don't know what I like. Yeah, that's funny.
And Vuruval is sharing their experience, saying that in her career, she only had personal work in her portfolio. She made what she wanted and got hired from people that gave her work because of the quality reflected on what they were looking for, which I completely agree.
No, for sure.
Oh, those are all pretty.
I'm just going to edit this. I'm just going to upload a new one for this one because I feel like it's a little bit too close to that edge and not enough on here. But I will tidy that up as we go along.
So we got 3 blue and 1 red at the moment. I mean, if I count my votes, I'm not sure yet. So I just see like, we got more blue.
You wait until we get into the spread, so we'll start voting for that. And then the floodgates are really open then, I guess.
Yeah, just so to recap a little bit for those of you that are joining us right now. Again, we are reading the chat from YouTube. So if you're watching from Behance, make sure to head on YouTube so we can read your comment. And we're here with the amazing Kieron Lewis building a booklet. And what we're doing today is exploring different variation. Kieron started by creating a little bit of a layout and some grids in InDesign, but then we jumped right away into Illustrator and Photoshop in order to create some cover experiments to see which one is going to be using at the end. And then in the next 2 days, we're going to be keep going and creating in depth the booklet. So I can't wait for these 3 days, and so excited about the very end. There is also a thing we're going to see almost a little bit of a realistic final version, hopefully, if we get to that point.
Oh, definitely a mock-up. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know, I actually did a massive rookie. There's me exporting my JPEG and realized my actual, and this is very, very classic 101 designer, always save your original PSD file so you can revert back to it, which I'm glad I did, because that'd be very awkward if I didn't do it live on camera. but I have saved it. So if anything happens, I can go back to it. It's all good. Oh, good.
Fantastic. So tomorrow we're going to be mainly working on InDesign. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got obviously the spreads, which I'll pop in as I go along. And then now that we've got the sort of foundation sort of set, i.e. all the content on what page, we'll start designing our spreads with the imagery as well, and thinking how we can use, basically how text can relate to imagery in a nice way. And then we can have a bit of play with that and see how that pans out. But I won't do as many options, I think, for that. Just so we can make sure we get the full bulk of what we want to get done in the day and tomorrow and on Thursday, which is why I'm doing a lot of options for the covers so that we can have a bit of play around and experiment on stage. But yeah, it should be exciting with the inside spread.
Do you usually, it's part of your process to do the cover at the beginning? Because I'm work a little bit at the opposite. I usually do introductions and covers like at the very end. I just have like a white page issue, I guess, when I haven't started.
It's weird. Like, I think I go through phases where I'll just, I mean, whatever happens, both need to be done, right? Because it's the whole book. But I feel like I do work where, like now as well, where I want to have a bit of fun with the experimenting stage of the covers. I will probably work with the covers more so at this stage, I'd say. And then see, like the fact that I've just put the content just on the pages where things sit, that's kind of like, oh, where's all my content gone? That's very awkward. Because I was in the masters, that's why. Yeah, I was thinking, where the hell did I go? Yeah, now the fact that I've just got my text there, I feel like that's like a little bit of the job done. Obviously, this is not the actual final spread, you know, that'll be mad. But it's just more of a case of just knowing that I can kind of, you know, work on the covers, and then I can kind of really hit the ground running when I come to the spreads, because all the text is kind of there. I know what I'm working with. And actually, there's not a lot of content you can probably see to work with. So I can go a lot full bleed with the imagery. And add some graphics in there too. So that's a good thing when clients give you a lot of content, because you can be more playful with the imagery that you got to work with, for sure.
Totally, got more space.
Cool. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna export my JPEGs out one last time, so I've got them all to hand.
Super cool.
It's the eyes, isn't it? It's like, there's like a meme, I'm sure, online with like this big, I can't remember what the, is that a bat? I don't know what creature it is, but there was a lemur, like the really big eyes and like the dramatic music, but it's like it looks into my soul. It's a pretty, they are cute. They're not scary, and they're good for the environment, which is, everyone needs to remember that. That's the whole purpose of the booklet, to encourage them to do. And also, I should have flagged as well, more importantly, in the book, you're going to see that we've got a bat highway is what a small studio has actually created. So it's actually something which, again, those who live in the area of West Norwood can do little things in their gardens, whether it comes to lighting, and the materials they've got to use within a sort of pack that they get given. Which makes it easier for bats to thrive in the area. So the highway is actually quite a cool thing. I can show you in tomorrow's session with the spreads. But it's like a cool little, it's not a physical like road highway, but you get what I mean. It's for bats. So yeah, it's all in the sky, right? Yeah.
So exciting. I think it's very, very cool to have, you know, it's such a diverse topic as well, because I don't think anyone has ever shown anything with bats. You know, we have many themes which are perhaps recurring or maybe different, but bats is very unique and very cool.
And it feels like it's relevant. I mean, I don't want to get too dark about the, you know, everything going on, but like it is a relevant topic as well, which I think is quite, you know, for what it is as well. It's hopefully going to, you know, give people different perspective on how they see bats, which is what the whole, you know, purpose of this booklet is. I just quickly, actually, when I've got these all done, I just want to get the subheading, the landscaping in as well. So we've got that. So it has a bit more context. I'm just placing in my imagery. There we go. That feels a bit more cleaner. And then I'm going to put in it's on my copy doc.
So I think that in the chat, everyone was mainly leaning for the blue and red. Let me see if I can find, for some reason I lost the chat. Let me just find it again. I was very curious to see what everyone was
funny, because it could be like everyone's mood of how everyone's feeling like after a long Tuesday. It could be like tomorrow maybe the vibe is different, you're feeling a bit orangey, or, you know,
that's
imagery.
True.
It's
you touch such an important topic.
I'm getting all zen now, nice with the
oh no, that's color theory.
Yeah, for sure, mood and memory and, you know, all that. But yeah, with these colors, they're so dominant, so it can strike an emotion. So yeah. One thing I want to do.
So blue, red. Definitely colors draw the attention more. There has been appreciation for the off-white as well.
Oh, okay.
Calliope says, I love all of them. Agree. Super cool here that you actually, thought ahead to have space for this. So
that's the
that.
thing. So when I was designing, I thought, yeah, it's obvious. And like even now, I probably would want to tie that in a bit more. And at this stage, is obviously just playing around and just getting things on paper and seeing how it works with. But yeah, it's all good. I'm just gonna add this to my swatches. So I've got them. Yep, all here. I'm gonna try the. By the way, Calliope is actually. I want to plug her now. Calliope is from a small studio, so hey, Calliope.
Oh yay! Good that you like all of them.
There we go. Exactly. Thanks for being an awesome client.
And then we got the color reference there as well.
Yeah, so it's all in my, I'll make sure my swatches are clearly shown. There we go. So here we go, got my colors all at the bottom here. And what I will do actually, I think I'm going to actually bring in the a small studio logo via just a PNG onto the computer, onto the InDesign itself, because just to make sure my lining is correct. Because that's something I make sure I want to do correctly.
Super cool.
But for now, I'll just pop them in.
And we got Robzilla in the chat as well. Very exciting to see you, Rob. Robzilla was here streaming before, just I think before the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge was streaming, and creates some amazing illustration. I'm a fan. So if you don't know what it does, go ahead and check him out on his Instagram, on his Behance. Thank you so much for joining us, Rob. It's super, super fun to see you here.
It's a strong name as well. Is it Robzilla? I love that.
Yay.
That's just like
yes,
beast mode. It's awesome. That's awesome.
It creates amazing illustrations.
Nice. I think the beauty as well of doing things like Adobe Live is that you get the chance to speak to and meet other creators across the pond as well. It's it's quite diverse on that front, which is awesome.
And that's another little tip that I wanted to share with everyone that was asking what to do to be professional, what to do to start in the world of professional graphic designer, to just enter in the industry. Being here, following Adobe Live, being part of the stream, communicating, asking questions, connecting, that's definitely a very good start. So well done if you're here. I think that's that's a fantastic way of starting.
Gotta start somewhere, which is awesome. Yeah, I'm just definitely taking a long route round, but I've decided to take off the logo on via Photoshop anyway. I'm gonna plop them myself as a PNG onto InDesign itself.
And Lev, I say, any designers you draw or get inspiration from? Well, Robzilla is right there. Robzilla is right there to be inspired. And also Behance is a great place for you to research and see other people work, depending on the topic that your focus is on. But lately I've been working, especially when it was the launch of Illustrator on the iPad. I was part of an event called Make It, which was filled with so many talented illustrators, and I want to go and pick up some names just to make sure that I actually I'm going to go and see if I get some names, because I really want to direct you to some of these amazing people. And by the way, Kieron, if you do have any illustrator that you want to give a shout out to, that's a fantastic place.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's actually one illustrator who's actually very outlandish with his. I don't know, it just comes to mind straight away. There's a guy called Mr. Bingo. If anyone's ever heard of him?
Oh yeah,
he's
very controversial.
But yeah, if you like that sort of stuff, then yeah. But his work is cool, and yeah, it's. I'm not gonna say the kind of stuff he does because it's a bit outlandish, but you can feed yourself in your own time, and then obviously let me know, let us know what you think. But yeah, there's a lot of blogs out there that feature some really cool illustrators.
going on in the chat? Rob is getting a lot of love, which is fantastic.
Awesome.
And Buddha showing the Instagram. Yeah, that's what we wanted.
I feel like this is going to be the year of just like a lot of designers kind of coming out, or like, you know, young people kind of just like taking more of an interest in this kind of work, because it's fun, right? It's something as well when you can, you know, you don't have to be the greatest designer in the world just to, you know, create a nice piece of artwork. It's just something that, you know, how you feel, and if it's something that relates to you as well, speaks to you. So yeah, it's all good.
Totally. And also, if you watch Behance, there are so many other streams that are there. Even when Adobe Live is offline, basically now Behance is streaming, you know, 24/7. There, Eat Fresh Cake is one of the names that comes to my mind. And it does amazing illustration. Then I'm so bad with names. I'm just gonna go into my Instagram real quick and just go to my feed to see. You're Super Duper, which has done an amazing stream with Illustrator on the iPad.
Oh, my blue's taking a weird knocking. I don't know if it's the same on the stream, but maybe it looks slightly different to how it should be on there. Glitch.
Right, so volume is down. Yeah, that's why I'm being a little quiet, because I was trying to fix that up. We have our amazing Paco behind the scene helping us out, making sure that all this amazing Adobe live stream happens, sending some love and easier, helping us out. And it looks like we finally nailed it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paco, for your support. As usual, you're amazing. And that's why I was like sort of a little slow, but in the meantime, yeah, I think we already shared some amazing names. We also have Spencer was here at Adobe Live. It does amazing sketching. And Hank, do you ever share on Instagram? Do you ever do like an Instagram live with your work?
I haven't actually. It's in fact, this is probably like my first. I mean, I've done, you know, guest lectures at university, but in terms of like designing live to the world, like this is my first. Yeah, I never thought I'd ever do something like this, but this is fun. Like it's been different experience and it's been cool. But no, I with live on Instagram, that's something I definitely will look into. Actually, it could be quite fun.
I don't have the time, but I see so many people doing it, and it's super cool. Yeah. Spencer being one of them, Hank as well. Super cool.
Okay, I'm tempted to actually maybe jump into my spreads, because we've definitely got some time. So I think I might jump into some design spreads.
So Megan is sketching the color difference between the blue. Is it color mode, or why the blue is different?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. That just all happened midway through I was designing, which was really weird. I'm not sure why that is. I'm going to actually do the old fashioned, if it doesn't work, turn it on and off again. I'm actually going to switch it, close down my InDesign and reopen it, and hope that actually does the trick. If not,
it looks like you have the RGB on your swatches. So if you go to your swatches panel, is the RGB version. So I think that's the only thing.
Okay. Now let's reopen that again.
Good catch, Megan. That's a really good eye.
Sharp. All right. Not sure why it's done that. What was your suggestion, Claudia?
So if you head to the swatches panel,
yeah,
and yeah, can you see that on the right? You can see that is the icon of the RGB. So the colors are RGB. If you click exactly where you were, just go back to the color on the swatches panel.
Oh yeah.
And you double click, you'll be able to change it into CMYK. Yeah, Buddha is like, I didn't even notice. Yeah, just double click there to access the color options, and then from color mode, then
that's really weird.
You can change it into RGB.
Is there a way can we switch back to your screen quickly whilst I just try and figure that out?
Absolutely.
Sure
I can actually share the LinkedIn courses that we were talking about. If we
That'd be great.
head back to my screen, here we go. So let's actually go back into LinkedIn Learning. And if you're part of LinkedIn Learning, you'll be able, in my case, just to put my name, oops, sorry, I put Kieron names in, and you'll be able to find the InDesign 2021 course in there. So that's a good place where you can learn about InDesign and also Illustrator. And those courses are quite new. So feel free to dig it in there if you have access to LinkedIn Learning. And since we have a little bit of time here while Kieron is making his magic happen in InDesign, I wanted to remind everybody that we're going to be back tomorrow with Kieron. And I think before our stream, before or after, but tomorrow, back at it with Jesus Ramirez for Rework It. So if you haven't submitted your file, and that's actually, I think, a great time to do so, because we never get enough of InDesign files. So if you want to get your work featured and rework it live by me and by Jesus Ramirez, simply head to iamclady.com/reworkit and click on the Submit Your Design button, and you'll be able to fill in the form, add your file. And again, as I said, that is hosted on Adobe Live, which is a safe space to learn. So it doesn't have to be perfect. The entire purpose is to maybe get some advice, a different opinion, or if you think that you've done a great job, just show off. I'm always super happy to share anybody's work and to make sure that is that everybody follows you and sees you. And that's another great opportunity maybe to land a job. I had wonderful opportunities here at Adobe Live by sharing work, and I'm more than happy to feature you. So make sure to submit your work so me and Jesus can review it during Rework It, and we can rework it live. So again, it's iamclady.com/rework it and click on the Submit Your Design. And that's going to be live tomorrow and on Thursday, just right before or after Kieron. So Kieron, let us know when we can go back to your...
Yeah, I think I actually tried to do it the way we just said, and also I've tried to open and close and reopen again. But what I'm going to do is that I want to figure that out. But I'm going to jump into the spreads because I don't know why it's doing that, and I will come back to that because I can always add those colors towards the end. The blue is there in spirit. It's just not wanting to play ball today. But we can obviously jump into spreads now and see where we go. So obviously this is the font. I'll make sure I'm in the correct font. And usually with A5, I always like between 9 and 12 is like the average font size, I'd say. So I'm gonna probably go for like 11, maybe make my spacing heading 14. And I'll actually put a big image behind it and have a little play and see what we're working with. There's a lot of things happening there, isn't there?
Don't worry, just take your time. We are here to chill with you while we learn how to use these amazing tools. And look at the bats. every time that you shoot a bat, I'm
they
like,
are cute.
Look at a bat.
Do you know what I love about it as well? Like the photographer, obviously, who had taken these like for the Adobe stock, have done some really good stuff because it allows me to actually put text on the site because there's a lot of dead space on her. So actually, it sort of ties it up quite nicely to.
Oh, look at that one hiding in the leaves. It's so cute. That's so cute. Now everybody's gonna love butts. I think you're doing a fantastic job to make us love butts. That if that was the purpose, I think you got it.
Mission accomplished. Brilliant.
Yes, absolutely. Who doesn't love that little cute butts? I mean, that's my favorite at the moment. Just hiding with the little leaves that frame his cute face. That might be a very weird comparison, but I just got a new kitten and the face.
It's brilliant. Is that Frida or Carlo? Was that one of your? Carlo. Brilliant. Yeah.
By the way, you're gonna see on my Instagram later on. This is the first time that I left him alone while I'm outside the house since I got the kitten. So I really hope that I'm putting trust in the right place. But I'll let you know afterwards what happened between the two.
We used to have a again, I know my family's on her, but actually this is quite a funny story. We used to have a little kitten, Tinkerbell her name was, Don't ask why the name. It just stuck. But yeah, we're a bit of a cat family. Although I do like dogs as well. Actually, dogs are cool.
Yeah, but now we're gonna get bats.
Yeah. So this is all bat projects. So we're talking about dogs and cats. We've gone off piece. That's for next session. The dog booklet, cat booklet.
So Buddhaval is saying the bats kind of look like foxes in the face. Isn't there like a cat, fox, mouse, bear mix? Who knows? What is genetic background? Did you go that deep in like what is the origin of bats?
I know, but I do love that. I feel like that could be another project, like an off piece to this, like a bat booklet part 2. We just also
documentary for tomorrow. I'm gonna be because it's already like it's getting kind of late here in the UK. So my homework tonight before I go to sleep is gonna watching a documentary about bats. So I hope David
Attenborough's actually watching this. He could, like, you know, maybe, you never know, he might just randomly pull a bat documentary on Netflix. That'd be quite cool.
Oh yeah.
No, right. But what I'll do is I'll definitely do my editing more on Photoshop. But I always like to on InDesign, just like crudely just get it in, so I think to myself when I've designed it, how's it going to look? Just add in the gradient via InDesign. And I'm going to
super cool. And we got a lot of love from Daisy Art Production saying Adobe Live are the best videos that I see in YouTube. Thank you so much. Adobe Live is amazing. I'm always super honored to be here. It's a lot of fun. You get to meet amazing people like Kieron here. We got our super production star angel fairy Paco that is there helping us out, make sure everything looks fantastic. And yeah, I'm a fan as well.
No, I'm going to duplicate this and actually do another version of the introduction, because there's a lot of space.
What's happening to the tea there?
So do you know what, I know there must be rules to this, and I've been very honest. I just don't do it because I like the look of it, but there's that's just not a very good rationale. But I like to add a bit of drop cap when I've got a lot of text, just from a visual perspective. I think it looks quite nice. So yeah, it's obviously you could just work with it just being all lowercase, or, you know, part of the body copy. But I like to add the copy in like that.
And how did you do that?
Yeah, sure. So what I'll do is you've got this little tool up here, which is the drop cap. So you can go, oh, excuse me, I've highlighted all, but just in that paragraph in particular. And you just click how many you want to. Obviously, I don't want to go too many because that's a bit crazy, because obviously the paragraph determines the line we've got there. Otherwise, it's just got a bit, you know, mental. But I think 2 or 3 should do the job. I think 3 would be okay. It's very reasonable.
That's super cool.
What I'm going to do is I've got it duplicated. I'll make sure it's a bit more tidier on my desk so you can see more things. It's like housekeeping whilst I'm doing it, because I know I could be very messy when I come to InDesign, but I promise you there's a method.
That's the standard. I mean, it's got to start messy.
It's very true. Very true.
That's the way it is. And that's, you know, that's the beauty of being able to see that even professional, successful designers like you know, we all start messy.
Mm.
Oh, look at those little bats. And my favorite one is the one with the leaves now.
Oh, this one. Mm.
The one like with the little face framed in between.
Yeah,
that one there.
Yeah, no, I like that one as well. I feel like it's like for the introduction as well. It's like quite a nice striking shot. It's I mean, he's looking into he's gazing right into you. It's almost like, you know,
I'm poking out. Hello. Yeah, sorry, Kieron. I told him.
No. I'm good for silly. I mean, it's like 9:30 or 9:29, 9:19. So I'm good for silly after this time of night. It's totally cool.
I can finish the stream just with a bat voice.
Batman style, brilliant.
I also had like a full cup of coffee, so I'm probably going to be watching bats until like 4 in the morning.
I think my weapon of choice today, I've got a lemon and ginger, but I've gone quite mild. It's that's my partner's giving me that, but yeah. Right.
Megan Price is asking, this will probably be later in the series, but will you use paragraph and character styles in the project?
That's a good question. I think for this, but just because I've got not much copy to kind of work with. I think I probably will just stick with doing it basically the old-fashioned way, but just style it myself. With, for example, like the booklet I'm working with for one of my clients, it's obviously a big book. I would use obviously paragraph and sort of character styles to make sure it's all consistent. But for these, because there's not much content to work with, I can be a bit more playful. And to be honest, I might not want, I'm still figuring it out, but with the spreads, I might not want, obviously body copy remain the same for consistency, but with the titles, I might go bigger on some or smaller on some, so I can be a bit more flexible by not having any styles at this point. Yeah.
So we got, I think about less than 45 minutes.
Okay.
Nils is asking, good question, Megan. Would also love to see how Kieron makes content pages, page numbers, styles, etc.
Oh, can you repeat that? What was that, sorry?
So they're very excited to see what you're doing, but also how you're going to make the content pages with the page number, with the styles and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I can, we'll work on that a bit tomorrow, I'd say.
Yes, can definitely dive in.
What I want to do is I want to actually break. I'm gonna make sure, because I think I might have done a rookie mistake. Make sure the content actually is on the right. It's all correct, which I'm sure it will be, but just double checking. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Oh, good. So it cuts up to here. And this actually belongs. There's actually one tool that I really want to work with in a minute. Is actually the text wrap tool, which is actually one of my favorite tools actually to work with. So yeah,
I was gonna suggest, but I was like, I don't want to. I just want to let you do your flow and do your thing. But I was like wrap. Itching here. I was like, should I say?
And to be fair, with the wings like angle, it sets it up right for like a text wrap, I'd say.
So, absolutely. Have you used the new feature of the text wrap with a?
No.
Am I pushing it too far?
No. I mean, I'm curious to know what that is now. I don't know what that is. I'm not that cool, but tell me what it is.
During these Adobe Max, there's been a new release, which we can whenever you're going to use the text wrap, maybe I can show you, talk you through, and it's super easy. It's just literally one click. So, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't work, don't worry, we can show it somewhere else, or maybe I can show it tomorrow on my screen. So it basically uses the same technology that is used in Photoshop in order to make a content aware selection. Which is Sensei, is a Adobe artificial intelligence. And I'm going to pull up InDesign because now that I'm giving the talk, I want to make sure that I give the exact name of the feature, which I believe is subject aware. But let me just go ahead and make sure that I use the exact terminology there. But what allows you to do is to select the subject. So InDesign will pretty much select the subject for you, and it will automatically create a selection of the main subject when creating a wrapping. So it's super, super cool. Let's see if we can make this happen here. I'm testing it in my...
It's funny because I remember actually learning that tool from my creative director, and my mind was a little bit like, oh my gosh, like it's like someone just just discovered fire or something. Like, it was just such a cool thing, and it's so simple as well in terms of just like how you play around with it, and it's quite impactful, I think, as a design when you do it in the right way.
It's an integration of text and images. So yeah, it's correct. It's called, so it's a contour option and it's called select subject. So what it does, the InDesign looks at the photo and selects the subject and makes a selection, almost as if it's done with a pen tool. So you got literally have like points around that you can edit, and then you can put the text around that subject. And I think that the photo that you're using right now would be perfect because it's got such a great contrast between the two. So
yeah, we can play with it for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna do that because I kind of want to. What I want to do is I want to, the fact that the wing is kind of poking out. I want to have. So I want to show you actually it's easier rather than me ramble on. But I will show you what I want to do.
Getting curious.
So am I. I don't know where it's going to end up, but let's see. I'll just crudely put this here for now. But I kind of want this, I'm going to go on Photoshop a minute and cut around this bat so that the wing comes over this panel and then the text wraps around the text wraps around the bat's wing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'd be cool. Super cool.
Yeah, the question is, what do I do with...
I'm seeing if there is any other question in the chat. Everyone is loving what you're doing. They look forward to see everything happening.
So do I. I don't know. It's gonna get one of those ones where you just like you're designing, but you're just like it's so many different ways to come from it, which is quite cool.
Love the green. Feeling like I'm in a forest. And they eat fruit, don't they? Because I lived in Australia for a while and everyone was like, don't worry about bats, they only want the fruit, they're not going to do anything to you.
And I think little insects as well, that's one of the perks of how they help with the, again, I don't know this because I read it from the content, but like they I'm not going to try and be that guy, but yeah, they also help in terms of with pests and rodents as well, like small creatures that they will eat that as well. That sounds horrible, but they do help with that.
They keep the floor clean.
Basically, yeah. It's, the stuff that you don't want to do, the bats will do it. It's just like,
yeah, it's very useful. Megan is saying, "Oh, I like that idea. The bat's wing escapes the photo on the page."
Yeah, it's gonna be quite fun to let's have a little play with that and how that pans out.
Neil saying, even being a graphic designer for 15 years, I always have trouble making dynamic content pages and numbers in InDesign.
I guess like, creative block is just, it happens to everyone. I guess for me, it's just, I try and figure that out by just, immersing yourself with content online, books that you read, trying to take influence. And then that kind of stems into how you design as well yourself. Just that.
Yeah, and I think that the best way is just to keep your eyes into like reading books and going out for a walk. It's like sometimes, and something really silly, I was struggling with a project today, and I just was like, I wasn't happy with the way that it was coming around, and there was something missing, when there is like that something that doesn't feel right. And I was just going up and down the stairs of my house, and with the corner of the eye, when I was going upstairs, I actually spotted a painting that I bought in Berlin, and he had a little feature in there, which was just like a little swing, like a kid swing, which made my brain jump to something else. And boom, I sat down to the computer and brought to extension my project. So just getting up from the chair and stop working and doing something else, you might have inspiration from, I got it while I was going upstairs. So anything can really give you a little bump into sparking your creativity even more.
I used to, even when I was at uni, which I guess was a lifetime ago, 8 years ago, before I graduated, but I used to take a Moleskine book with me everywhere I used to travel, especially on my way to uni. And I would just, this is going to sound really weird to say, but people watch on the train. I used to just draw people on the train. And because I got into live drawing a lot as well, but just like, how people behave and just kind of animating characters and doing that was for me, that was quite an inspiration way of doing it as well. Just you know, taking influence by just drawing and then thinking about how I could use those, you know, characters within actual, whether I was scanning them in or doing the screen printing with them or anything like that.
That's super cool.
It seems like a very laborious thing now I'm doing, but it's basically cutting around.
Do you want to try to do it with the select subject? Because your point is that InDesign does it for you, and then if it works, it works. If it doesn't work,
yeah, we could try that. So what are you suggesting to do the?
So if you select the image, and I mean, if you wanna save what you're doing first, and you wanna keep going, I don't wanna.
What I'll do is I need to make this a Photoshop file, so I'll save this as a PSD file.
Good job saving. That's something that I never wrapped my head around doing.
Always. Okay, cool. So I've got my version. So, sorry, you were suggesting?
So if we go back into InDesign.
Yeah.
And let's try this. And then we select the image.
Yeah.
And then we go to Window, Text Wrap. And from there, you select the third icon, which is the wrap around the object shape. And then when you do that, there is a little option called
color wheel of death. Can you see the?
Sorry,
I've got the color wheel, the spinning wheel of death. Do you know the spinning wheel where?
Oh, okay, it's thinking.
There we go. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, I didn't actually know about this.
So it's pretty new. Cool. It's pretty new. So if you select the third option and then from contour options at the bottom of the panel, you click on the down pointing arrow, select the very, very bottom one, select subject.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. So I can see the actual wrap.
Look what happened there.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So
that saves a lot of time actually.
So I was like, I don't want to make it uncomfortable, but it is pretty amazing. So it's definitely worth a shot.
The only reason why what I was going to do is actually have this bat was going to be on top of another layer and it's poking out on top of the image. So so even though it's wrapped now and the text can wrap around it.
Keep going and do whatever you had in mind. Absolutely.
But that's good to know though. That's awesome.
Super fast way of working.
That is good to know. Because if I'm doing magic eraser, that's very cheeky. That's gonna do a bit of. Yay. Actually, do you know what? I feel like I went really weird when I did that. Actually, this will actually do the job that I would want it to do. Again, there is a method to what I'm doing once it shows, I hope. Yep, just clean that away.
And you got the same technology there, like the same technology that we used in InDesign is exactly the select subject, the object selection tool that you have in Photoshop.
Okay. So that is. Do you know what it is? I totally believe you. I think I want to let me because I know what will happen. I'll go off piece and then I'll be in a world of pain, not knowing what's happening. But it'll make sense once I'm done. So.
Sorry, I just get excited about the tools. I'm just like,
I love Photoshop.
You can do that. I love what Adobe Sensei does, and I'm here just to, again, the beauty is that everyone's got different methods, but please keep going with your workflow because it's always.
No, but anything to make it like quicker. That is something that it's needed. And to be honest, that's one thing that Adobe does really well. Like I've noticed with all of the like updates, they make it so much easier for designers to do a lot of I don't want to say shortcuts, but it's just the stuff that, like, for example, what I'm doing right now, I'm sure is a quicker way of doing it, and I need to eventually learn that. But it's just
oh, well,
different
I can show you in a second after you're done. I just want you to do your thing, to do your
So,
thing first, and then we can try another technique as well.
Sounds like a plan.
But I mean, you know, the output is the same, which is, you know, the most important thing is to get to first of all, to have the idea, you know, because the most important thing is to have the idea of doing this amazing interaction that you're doing. And then they're a different way, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, sometimes you need to refine them.
Right, let's see how it's gonna. I feel like all that effort now, and if it doesn't work, it'd be very weird. But I feel like it might. I trust the process. Let's see.
Absolutely. And if not, we're gonna try again.
Exactly. We'll get it right. So that's the original image, and I'm gonna place that on top. I'm gonna put in my PSD.
Look, as you say, yes, let him work in his particular way. Absolutely.
It's cool.
Absolutely.
Because actually, because what you're saying, the text wrap, so that's where it's like now I kind of want to make sure this is all locked, because that's where it's going to be crazy.
It's happening.
Things are happening. There is something about like nice when you're designing and then you start to see, it just looks like a mad sort of experiment, and then when you start to see a bit of like a glimmer of hope, actually this looks like what I want it to be, it's rewarding. It is nice. So I've just made an invisible shape, but it is there, but it's invisible. And I'm gonna
something that we had in common also, because me and Kieron had a little chat, and that's why I'm being so, you know, I feel comfortable chatting with him, because I had the opportunity to have a little bit of one-to-one wonderful chat, and you're absolutely amazing to talk with, Kieron. Something that we had in common was also Shillington College. And I remember that one of my lecturer was obsessed with the pink box, and now that you've done the invisible object, he just sort of like started, and it's like, I want a big shout out to Orla McGrath. She's an amazing designer.
That's amazing.
Shillington,
they do some, I mean, the grads that they've got there and the work they produce is insane. It's like definitely worth, if anyone on the stream doesn't know much about Shillington, it's worth a Google for sure. Very, very cool.
That's how I pivoted from PR to design.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh. Loving it. It's looking amazing.
Okay, that's kind of the method. I feel like I was going to fluff the page and just like, I want to animate in Premiere Pro now. So, not After Effects.
What would you do now? Which sort of
animation? If I could, I mean, if the skills allowed me to do it, I'd want to do some sort of like, I don't know, like a visual video book where he's just literally going off piece and flying between all the different spreads. I'm talking rubbish, but yeah. That makes sense.
No, that's cool. I mean, it's always interesting to see and to learn what's, you know, what flows in people's minds. Vudaval is saying this looks amazing. I agree. It's so beautiful. It really drones into reading. Like, I'm actually reading that paragraph now just because
yeah, guys, I mean, look at the design, but also read the content. Like, I should probably zoom in so you can read the that's just important. But I guess as well, because of the audience that we're trying to, I don't want to say market, but basically share this content with, it's the public of West Norwood. So we want to do something that's quite, you know, engaging, visually engaging as well. Which is why, you know, I've got a lot of creative freedom with this, which is cool. Which is, you don't always get with clients, which is quite nice.
And I love the way that you align the back of the bat, so the main subject and the text. That's a little detail that really makes a difference. So if you show the grids, we can definitely see that we got the line going from the title to the back of the main subject and the text. So that's amazing.
Yeah, just so it's just again, so how your eye read it, so it kind of just follows on. But yeah. Okay.
Super cool.
Potentially, I'm curious to see how, you know, my drop cap, which I do love. Let's see, what was the number? I did 3 on this one. Let's see how that pans out on this. I'm curious to see my show of votes. If the drop cat, if people are not feeling the drop cat, it's cool. I won't take offense. It's just like, if the drop cat's a good one or not, I don't know. Maybe because I use them a lot in my everyday work, but yeah.
Well, that's your signature, you know.
Like Zora,
that's,
you know, just
that's something. I think that's important to be confident about your choices and.
Just like clients know, if you're gonna get me, you're gonna get a drop cap every now and again.
Yeah.
Not
and
a drop
pay
kick,
for it.
not a drop kick, but a drop cap. There we go. Yeah. That's funny.
Of course.
Okay, sweet.
And that they choose you because of what you do. So totally keep it up.
I mean, I generally, like, for fun, if I'm not designing, I'm designing. It's basically, I guess I'm always like, and to be fair, I just play around with InDesign a lot. I think it's just, I do find it a fun tool to use. Yeah.
Quick interruption, sorry, Kieron, but Nuno Diaz, first of all, welcome from Portugal. He was having issues on Behance. Yes, Nuno, thank you so much for joining us here on YouTube. Although we still have probably less than 20 minutes, is good to know that if you want to share your comments, ask your questions, give your feedback, and just say hi, make sure to click on the screen if you're on Behance, and then click on the YouTube icon, and the browser will open up and you'll be able to join us and send comments on the YouTube. So today we are having fun and chilling over the YouTube chat. So come and join us if you're watching on Behance, jump on YouTube so I can say hi and I can pass your questions to Kieron as well.
Yeah, hopefully everyone's a bit more educated on bats and the species.
Yes.
And know what's going on.
And learn about kid bats. Okay, so now you've done these amazing pages, and I love the photo of these bats, but now you made that super cool with the other one. So I'm loving all of them now.
Sorry, I'm just gonna quickly try to move things. Yeah, I think that's quite cool. I'm tempted to, because I always like when you've got things just ever so slightly overlapping. So I'm going to plop this on front, but like little detail where you might have the E just creeping behind the bat wing, so that you still know it's the E, but it's sense of mystery, right?
Yeah.
The whole bat theme, right? I'm not going to do Batman, but yeah, you get the vibe. So yeah,
that's so cool.
Wondering is a bit early.
Yeah, totally creating that movement that we were talking about before. It's looking amazing, Kieron.
Oh, thanks.
And Budawal is saying, yes, we're having a YouTube party today. I agree. YouTube party. Hanging out on the YouTube chat here.
Right, so that is all. Actually, what I always like to do, I always like to be highlighted red just so I know where I'm actually at. I work by color. My brain tells me like that, so I just know where we're at. So, how can you make your garden bat friendly? Actually, no, I want to do maybe one more. I think we've got time for one more.
Yes, I will say we got like at least 10 minutes for you to keep working, and then what I would love to do, if it's cool with you, just a little recap, so anyone that's joined us today knows what we've done from the beginning, and we do just a little recap of the work done today, and we can give some insight of what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
So please feel free to go ahead. I'm here intrigued to see what's next up.
Yeah, it feels like ages ago we did the covers, right? I'll make sure those colors are working sharply, because it's weird. It works sharply on here, but not on the covers. But I'll make sure that is all good for tomorrow. Yeah, I think with this one, do you know what? I'm curious to actually try a different image behind that one, just to see if we need something else in there. Maybe this one could be quite nice.
And Zainab is asking a question again regarding being a beginner and new to the field. I feel there is a lot to learn. It never ends. You gotta love learning new things.
Definitely. It's weird because I probably work quite quickly, but then it's one of those ones where it's obvious, but the more you do it, the more you just become second nature, right? And just and have fun with it. Like that, honestly, these tools are just, I feel like they're there to have fun. And you can't really get it. I mean, unless you're doing a thing for a client, you can't really get it wrong when it's your own kind of work that you're working on. So yeah, have fun with it for sure.
practice. A fantastic way to learn fast, Zainab, is to join the creative challenges. So join it on, if you look at Adobe Live on Behance, the creative challenges are there. Adobe Live streams pretty much every day, besides the weekend, all day. Creative challenges are great, small digestible chunks that give you a little brief, a little activity. You also get all sort of assets so you can start working and get your hands dirty with the apps and starting really to understand the tools from the beginning. Also, that there are so many different tools and that you can start exploring. And again, that's the beauty of Adobe Live. It's a safe space to learn. So no worry about making mistakes. I think those are the first steps towards learning and doing better.
Definitely. Gotta have fun with it. You gotta make mistakes to realize what not to do.
Another question for you, Kieron, from 2Math. Work listening to podcast, music, or in silence?
Music, always. Like even now, I almost feel like I'm trying to tell myself there's music going on, because it's just like how I work is that I have to have a bit of a playlist. But I mean, Spotify, yeah, that's my go-to. Although I do find instrumental, like I need to listen to instrumental, because if I find a track that I like and I'm really focused, I'll just sing along, and that's not good for no one. So, and I'm glad there's no music, because you don't want to hear me singing. But like the idea of just having an instrumental, it makes it a bit more easier to flow with the work, I find.
What sort of music are you into?
How long do we have on this podcast? It's true.
Honestly, 10 minutes now.
it ranges. If I mean, I'm from South London, so I like my grime music as well. But then, like, literally yesterday, I was listening to, if anyone knows, he's a grime artist, Heady One. But then I was listening to Hans Zimmer's soundtrack for Interstellar. So you couldn't be any more on the spectrum, but that's kind of like how I like to.
That's one of my favorite movies ever.
That is an amazing film. It is awesome.
And let us know, of course, in the chat if you like to listen to music. I watch Adobe Live. Like I usually, because I'm not a beginner, but I think it's always exciting to see what people are doing. And then when I hear something like that is different or I never heard, I'm like, hey, I stop working. I just like start to watch the screen. There is the amazing Kathleen has got super soothing voice. I usually watch her Photoshop challenges because she makes me relax so much, and like I feel I can work and concentrate better. Voodoo Val also super fun, doing her Photoshop streams and her design off. Fail forward, yes. So fail, make mistakes. Red Bunny Classic is saying mistakes are important. Fail forward, absolutely.
No, for sure.
Kit is asking, sorry, are we leaving the word introduction in there?
That's a really good point, actually. I mean, it was given in the Word doc, but there's no reason why it doesn't need to be there. I'd say because it's broken into the sections, which again, I'll work on a contents page tomorrow. I feel like it probably would need. I'd attempt to do a version with and without. That's probably my like obvious answer, if I'm honest. I think I want to try a version with and without. Because I guess without, it might just seem a bit bare. But again, it is the first thing you see when you get in, so maybe it's obvious that it is an introduction. Again, I'd be curious by votes, actually, what people think. If it should be.
Should I stay or should I go? Talking about music.
It feels like it feels like that. There's a Black Mirror. I'm gonna go off piece. There's like a Black Mirror episode where you can kind of dictate what happens next by voting. I if anyone knows about it, I'm sure they probably do in the chat. But it's like if anyone knows Black Mirror, but I feel like it could be one of those sessions where you just tell me what I'm doing, you vote, and then that kind of dictates where we go with this. Just hope the client likes it.
I think the Voodoo streams are sort of that direction. Voodoo is here helping us, moderating the chat as usual, sharing fantastic links. And she also streams, and Val, let me know. I think I'm not sure if it's the same name, but it's used to be called Design Off, and is basically, I think she put it out of an ad, or the chat was given different topics, and then she was challenging other creatives to use the same elements and drawing the same elements, but of course everyone was using their own direction. So not only you had this sort of Black Mirror effect, but on top of it you have two versions, two realities, depending on the two artists. That's super, super cool.
I love that. That's awesome. That is awesome. I do, to be honest, I love those kind of like, even going to like, when you're talking about shows and stuff, I love that kind of alternate universe of different things happening, and don't want to geek out, but yeah, those stuff's cool, I find.
Might be a universe, and now you're gonna realize how crazy I am just in 1 second. What about a universe in which is a bat designing a book about humans?
Oh my god, that's like a Rick and Morty. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Just yeah, that could.
Humans are very useful. Don't kill them.
Yeah.
Which is not true, but
not always good for the environment. That's the thing, isn't it? It's just like, I'm sure bats will find their own thing about us, but yeah, that's hilarious.
Lots of silliness, as I promised. I believe that. And we gotta think about 5 minutes. So I'm gonna let you finish this fun part, and then probably we're gonna do a little recap.
Sure. Yeah.
Zainab is saying, thanks for motivating me. You guys, big love. Absolutely, big love back to you. It's a journey for everyone. Like, you know, I thought about giving up, I don't know, countless times. I used to give myself like a deadline. Okay, if it doesn't work by June, I'll be done. And you just have to persevere and practice. What about you, Kieron?
Yeah, I'd say practice is the key. And I think like you have those days where I think the creative block days are the trickiest ones, because it literally feels like there is no end to it. And I think it's like, for me, it's just how I work, but stepping away from the computer sometimes and just going for a walk, or just getting some fresh air. Just when I come back, I'm just super on it, and I can just kind of like plow through, you know, some designs. So yeah, I'd say, yeah.
Oh, look at the little bat. And the other one, the other bat before, I just didn't say, but it looked like it was like a little dancer. There is one photo they have like a bat hanging out of the tree, and it to me looked like a little ballerina bat.
Let's go through. I want to see what that one you mean, actually. That'd be quite cool to have a look at that. I'm just adding this little.
Oh yeah, keep going.
Just.
I'm just loving the different options.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I feel like I could, even after school, I want to keep on doing it. It's just like, it's, you know, having fun with it and just playing around. Obviously, as I get to the end of it, I need to obviously tie it all back, because obviously I can't submit, you know, how many odd spreads. I think we've got 22 spreads already. We haven't even gone through halfway through. But, you know, I do find that once I've got all my spreads to hand, I can then kind of like strategically go through each one and think, okay, that works, or not so much.
That's looking cool.
Yeah, let me just add my little orange to my drop cap.
We have a question from Megan. Real quick, I noticed that you're just moving things around on the page and not using like a rule of thirds or guides or rows. Is that with practice that you don't need them, or else?
No, that's a good point. I mean, it's weird. Like the idea, obviously, I've put my things in 2 columns. Like hair, for example, I'm definitely, because there's a lot of content happening, so I'm definitely going to work within 2 columns, because there's not much copy. I mean, even if I just had that in 1 column, which you can, which I've got in here, it does feel like you can be a bit more flexible with it. In an ideal world, if I had a lot more content to work with, I'd probably work a lot more to the 2 column grid. But I feel like here you could be quite playful with it. But as we get into more this kind of content, not so much that, it's quite tight, but hair especially, like how you've got it in this hair and you've got it in 2 layers, like we will go in a 2 column grid. So it's a bit more easier to digest. Yeah.
Also, Kieron, I gotta give you like a time check, because I think we got 1 minute or 2 minutes. Paco will let us know how many minutes do we got left, but we got just very, very few minutes. So I don't know if you want to recap what you've done so far.
Yeah,
want to tell us more about tomorrow.
Sure.
And of course, we can have a shout out to our social media as well.
Yeah, so we'll start with, do you know what, the spreads will be a bit more cleaner on here, actually. So this is what the colors should be, just FYI, not what we're seeing on here. But what I will show you is, I might even do a side by side so you can see before and after. No, that's not doing it, make it more complicated. So obviously these are the spreads, the cover designs that I originally started off with, working with. I'll make sure it's all in high res actually, and preview it. Let's go in preview mode.
Yeah, so we started by creating covers, and Kieron has created different options, which are the one that is showing us here.
Yeah, so obviously it's a bit low res, but we'll make, oh, there we go, pops it high res. So yeah, the first sort of part of this was actually working with the different images we got to work with, thinking of ways it can lock up with the text. And again, using the dead space, on the image for where the text can kind of sit. Again here, just trying to be a bit more playful, adding a sort of nice sort of color overlay on top of the image. Again, this is all the branded colors from the client, the orange. And just seeing ways we can actually, pull out like a keystroke on top of the text rather than it being filled in, mainly because obviously that's the main important part, which actually on second glance maybe we should flip it around so that backpack is actually filled in just a bit more, but again, so then going through as well. Yeah.
And so we used InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop. So if you missed it, make sure to go back and rewatch it. And don't forget that tomorrow we're going to continuing this in InDesign in particular. I know people in the chat are saying wish it was going to stay longer, but we're going to be here tomorrow and Thursday with Kieron. So Kieron, thank you so much for today. We look forward to continue with the contents in InDesign tomorrow.
My pleasure. Everyone has dreams about bats tonight, and not in a weird way, but it's all good. Yeah, I look forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everybody in the chat, and we'll catch tomorrow at the same time on behance.net/live and on YouTube, of course, as well. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kieron.
Right, bye.
See you tomorrow.